Hello and welcome to Racers Now. The final decks are in for the Arc, so we've got the French racing lover Hump back in the helm to talk about what's changed. Really, not a whole lot's changed since we last spoke. The market is pretty similar to as it's been for a few weeks now. August Rodin flirted with taking part. He is not. So yeah, no surprises at final decks. Blue Stocking was supplemented earlier in the week for €120,000. And first question to you, Hump, is the ground and the weather. Like in Paris, you'll be there in about 26 hours. What's it looking like?
Yeah. Hello, everybody again. The ground is 3.8, which is classed as very soft over there. Ignore the wording, listen to the number. 3.8, it'll be on the softer side. It won't be heavy, it won't be too deep, but they'll definitely be able to get a toe in. The weather is looking good. There's been a bit of rain here and there. They've threatened it for a little bit, but I look on the Meteo France site, which is like our Met office in a way, and it's looking like it's going to be okay for the weekend. It's Friday, Saturday is going to be sunny, and then there might be a little bit of rain on Sunday. They're expecting a lot of rain on Monday, but hopefully it doesn't transfer over to the Sunday.
So we're looking at soft.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, thought we would be. So yeah, the market is pretty much as were. The draw's out now as well, Hump. Traditionally, they talk about getting a low draw. I don't really take much notice of it, but what do you make of it generally? Would you prefer a low draw? Do you think it matters? And if it does, who's had the best of it?
Look, I agree with you. I think people make a lot of the draw. There's 16 runners, which is a reasonable amount of runners, but obviously the track is that wide, and they run for probably a good 6-7 furlongs before they make any kind of turn. So we've seen it in the past with what Frankie did on Golden Horn. He hung it all the way out to the right hand side. Well, looking at the telly, it'd be the right hand side. In the actual race, it's on the left hand side, and then they cut back in. Look, I think a lot is made of the draw. Obviously, people have said that the hot balls, cold balls with regards to Sozy in 5 and Luc de Vega in 8. It just so happens that the French are in good draws to a point. A lot's made of it. I don't take much look into it, to be honest. What I will say is that there looks to be plenty of go forward on the outside, is what I will say. So expect them to maybe tack across quite quickly.
Yeah, so those drawn on the outside are the likes of Someway, the Andre Farb horse, the filly that I can't get the name right.
Marquis de Sevigny, highest arc, he'll probably go forward. Continuous probably go forward as well. So expect them to make a bit of a dart over. I expect them to make a bit of a dart over when they get the chance.
Yeah, well, I made many of you viewers will have watched the video I put up earlier in the week. I made a strong argument against the Niel form, which brings in the likes of Saucy, Luc de Vega, and Delius. I was happy to take them on. They form quite a lot of the top of the market. Los Angeles is the one that's had steady money for him since the Irish champion. Really, he was 16-1 before the Irish champion. Then he was about 8-10, and he's steadily come in. He's now 6-1, Los Angeles. I said on Monday I can see him going off favourite on the UK books, if that's anything to go by. It's not an official book. He probably won't go off favourite on the PMU, but I can just see his fixed odds price in the UK getting shorter and shorter as we lead up. Ryan Moore will obviously be riding a fair draw in 10. I think I can see the money coming for Los Angeles, and I can see a good argument for him actually winning it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too far off. I think it's never been in doubt that he was going to run here. Obviously, we've had the hokey cokey horses with August Rodin. Will he, won't he? Obviously, now we know he won't. Luxembourg also doesn't go. One thing I saw the other day, which is quite interesting, is that both of Aidan's winners of the Arc previously ran in what was the Irish Champion Stakes. So that Found and Dylan Thomas both ran in the Irish Champion Stakes and came here. One thing after looking back on him as well. The 12, he got the 12 furlongs fan in the Voltige, but is that, I did go back and question whether that form is up to winning an Arc. Now, the same for the Irish Derby. Look, it's good. He's a good horse. We know he's a good horse. They wouldn't run 2, and this be the main one that they put forward if it wasn't a good horse. His run at Epsom was a bit different. He was sent forward that day. Are they going to send him forward behind Continuous? That's another option to think about. It looks like he gets a bit lazy as well at sometimes. I think he just needs a bit of a kick in the belly to keep him going. I think that happened at Leopardstown as well. I think down the back straight, he just made sure he was there. He is a bit of a monkey to ride as well. He's got an awkward head carriage, but Ryan is likely to be on. They didn't confirm the jockeys at the time, but obviously Ryan would likely be on. I think they're going to put Sumi on continuous. The one thing is, after all that's been said, I don't know how they're going to ride him. They can put him in the pack, they can put him in the van, they can drop him out the back. It's going to be a difficult one. He's definitely, I think he'll be favourite on the UK books come the day. I do think he's sneaky quick, and obviously Aiden's not to be challenged when it comes to Group 1 races. Look, instinct tells you he's probably going to be there. So yeah, I think he's got a good chance.
I don't think continuous will go forward
as well. Do you not?
I think no, because I think they were uncomfortable at going forward in the foy or four. And yeah, I don't think they wanted to be at the front there. I made a case for continuous way back in June when I first looked at this race. It's obviously not gone to plan from an anti-post punting perspective since for continuous. But he ran fifth in this race last year. I think this is not a fantastic renewal, although it's a fantastic race every year. Yeah, I don't know. I see there's a couple of people have put him up. I mean, but you start to look elsewhere, don't you? I mean, we had a comment the other day from Garrett Reynolds, and he basically said that only one horse in the last 10 years were defeated on their previous start before the Arc and won. So 9 of the last 10 winners won on their previous start before the Arc. So we can all try and get a bit clever and looking for value elsewhere. But this year, that doesn't make it a very long list. If you're looking for horses specifically that won last time, there's only 5 of them: Saucy, Al Riffer, Blue Stocking, the one I can't name, the filly, and Fantastic Moon. So yeah, it is a very open year. I mean, other than last year, I mean, which was similar. When did we see 4-1 the field? So far in advance and running up until final Decs 4-1 the field. It does make it pretty open. Enable, Trev, etc. have been short for this in previous years. What did you make of Blue Stocking, Hump? Because I think she's actually growing on me. I kind of underestimated, I downplayed her a little bit earlier. I said that she's been against the boys, but you have to remember she ran second in the King George, which I kind of brushed over the other day. And I now need to backtrack a little bit, because if Goliath was in this race, Goliath would be up there. If he had all his tackles still in place, he would be bang up there with the 3-year-olds at the top of the market. Yeah, so yeah, maybe I've underestimated Blue Stocking. I do always think it's a leap for the fillies, but she's already half proven it. Like I say, given she was second in the King George and a not bad 4th in the Juddmonte, behind what could be possibly the best horse in the world in City of Troy.
Yeah, no, I think we made the point on the previous video as well around sort of what price would Goliath be if he was in here, that kind of thing. But my thing was that she was getting weight from Goliath in the King George now, and admittedly it was only £3, and she couldn't go past him. Does that mean that she's going to be good enough to go past all these other ones? I'm not so sure. You mentioned previously that she's been, she was kept to her own sex for a lot of the time as well. Look, the ground is probably going to be fine for her. I don't think there's a problem from that kind of point of view. She got a good draw in 3 as well. She's likely to be in the van, so you're going to have, if you're going to have the pace coming back off, from the outside to the inside, she could have a bit of a struggle maybe down the rail. One place you don't want to be is turning that bend into the straight when you're against the rail, because they will all sort of stack across to the far side rail, because given the ground's going to be not too bad. So she could get caught in a bit of a pocket there, but I wasn't overly keen. Is the truth for that one. I appreciate what they've done. I think they've done the right thing by putting her in. I don't think they're going to lose anything by not putting her in. She was 12-1 last night when I sort of looked. So yeah, she wouldn't be for me, but I think there's enough reasons to, if people want to back her each way to finish, a couple of firms are probably going to pay 4 places on this race, given the amount of runners as well. So I think she could probably get in. She might sneak into the top 4, but I don't think she'll go about winning the race now.
I saw a very interesting comment made by Rachel Candelora on Racing TV in regards to Blue Stocking. She's already a 2-time Group 1 filly, owned by Juddmonte, will only ever be bred to Juddmonte horses, so she doesn't need a price to go to the market. So for Juddmonte to stump up the money, 120 grand, which might be a drop in the ocean to them, but is what she was saying is they don't need to do it, because she's already, this is going to make no difference really to the quality of horse she breeds, and she's going to be breeding internally anyway. So I thought that was a massive vote of confidence if you was to take that angle. Before we wrap it up, Hump, I'm going to give you two stabs if you like. An outsider and one near the top of the market, starting with an outsider to maybe keep an eye on.
I started to, when I looked to run through a couple of them. I thought that I think you can write a few of these off quite easily.
Yep.
The outsider that I would, well, it's not an outsider as much, but I do think Marquise de Sevigné at 20-1, the horse that you can't pronounce, as has got a good chance. She racked up her wins during the summer, between sort of April and the summer, more of a 2,000 meter horse. But she only ever wins by the minimum. The ground won't be a problem for her being out of Siuni, and then obviously Siuni was out of Pivotal. So if it does get a bit wet, then there's the chance that that's there. But the one thing that caught my eye most about this was that Andre Faber's been outwardly vocal about her for this race. Now, he's obviously only got two in the race. He's got Sosie in the race, who's at the top of the market, but he seems to have spoken more about her than he has about Sosie, which is interesting from my point of view. He says he has no fears on the stamina, which makes me wonder, why should I? He's forgot more about racing than I know. She was 20-1 yesterday. I can see you've got 25-1 there. Look, the draw's not helped. Obviously, that is what it is. But like I said, if she's going to come all the way across, she's going to have to. Look, I think she could definitely hit the places. The jockey, Alexis Pouchon, has had a fantastic year, 126 wins this year, so he knows what the shape of the winning post at Longchamp looks like. I think she could easily land in the top four, given a good ride, which I would expect from Pouchon. It's the majority of this comes down to what Favre's been saying. I think it's very rare that we hear him speak, let alone speak outwardly about a horse. So I'll stick with her and hopefully see how she gets on. Now, she's a 5-year-old filly, which doesn't make it easy for her, but at the same time, it's a gamble.
I mean, who are we to doubt the great man? And I do think he is fantastic, Andre. But she's 5 years old. She's never ran over this distance, so she's clearly never ran in the Arc. I don't know. I mean, and he knows better than anyone about the 3-year-old's record in the race. Blah blah blah. That would be the only head scratcher for me. I mean, this year she's ran over 9.5, 8, and 10. That's the only question mark. But like you say, Humpy, even I would have noticed that he has been uncharacteristically punchy about.
He has won 8 arcs as well, so he knows what. He's not a newcomer to the game, is he? Let's put it that way.
No. Although, Wild Geese being his most recent one in 2019. Right, and as you'll note there, that is the price available at the moment. There's a couple of firms paying 4 places each way, which is no great surprise given there's 16 runners. But yeah, just look out for that. A couple of firms paying 4, and I think more firms may join them in the coming hours. Would you have a comment near the top of the market as well, Hump?
Over the last sort of 48 hours or so, when I've been watching it back, I've come to think that the Japanese horse has a real chance of winning this. I really do think they've got a good chance of winning this. Look, Japanese form, obviously not our forte. Won't pretend that it is. Haven't really got sort of a hold on it. But so we have to just focus on Leopardstown. Look, as I mentioned previously, they said he was 70% fit for that, so expect more to come. The trainer come out yesterday and said that he was progressing well. Now he doesn't have much more time to progress before Sunday. But obviously he's been based over in France for a while now. They've galloped him on La Zegla a couple of times. So he knows, he's got used to the conditions. He's got used to everything else. Going back to the Leopardstown race, look, he was quite headstrong early on. He holds his head very high. Well, he did on that occasion. Whether he will or not in the Arc, I'm not 100% sure. When they were moving into the sort of the top end of the back straight, they got a breather into him. So he got pulled back into the middle of the pack. Look, he's the drying ground will help. The ground probably was probably was on the fine side for him at Leopardstown. When he came into the straight, obviously they took the outside lane. Obviously he got caught, in a pocket. Unfortunately, Los Angeles was on his outside. He pushed him back into the pocket. He did make up a lot of ground, obviously. And he travelled really, really well into the race, actually. If you watch it back, the way he turns into the straight with sort of 2 furlongs to go, he is one of the best travelling horses. I wouldn't say he was necessarily on the steel, but the jockey didn't look like he was really getting after him. I think that the draw, I know we mentioned it, but they're drawn side by side again. Los Angeles, I think they're side by side anyway. Los Angeles and Shin Emperor. I think there is a genuine chance. Yeah, I think there's a genuine chance he could run really, really well. I think the race could set up for him. There's a couple in here that will go forward, and he looks like he's going to have a good finishing kick to get himself, or to get himself at least in with the challenge of winning. Whether he will win or not, I'm not 100% sure. Look, he's going to be no price. I don't think he's going to be a price on the PMU or we're over there. So I would recommend that people probably don't bet on him when they're over there. I guess, with the whirlpool, co-mingling, the Japanese will probably get plenty stuck into him from that kind of point of view. I do think he does have a chance, and I think at minimum they would probably want him to finish within the top 3. Let's put it that way. But yeah, I wouldn't be too dismissive of him. Let's put it that way. Obviously, it'll be a double win. Obviously, he's French bred. He was bred at Écurie de Monceau, so it'd be a double win for connections, really. And if they do happen to win this, then I think there might be a party on in Japan for about the next 6 to 12 months.
Yep, I put up Zarakem at a wild price on Monday, drawn in store 1, possibly not ideal given that they've said they're going to ride him cold, so he might be towards the back on the rail. Doesn't sound ideal to me. But yeah, I mean, I made my argument for the other day. He was 66 to 1 at the time. He's 50 to 1 now. Put a line through the Judmont. I think a lot went wrong for him there. And I thought it was a massive run at Ascot before that. Yeah, I was just taking a bit of a swing, to be honest with you. But I do expect he has just got that one piece of standout form, which was at Ascot. Was that a fluke? Possibly. Can he replicate it? Hopefully. That was the basis I was making that on. But as the week's gone on, I am being drawn towards Los Angeles more and more. I think the draws for him's fine. Yeah, I am being drawn to him, but wouldn't be smashing myself overly confident. But yeah, Zarakam's the only bet I've had at the moment, and I might put one in later when I speak to SD for the usual Saturday and Sunday.
On Zarakem, it's a major headache because he's won on soft, was second on good to firm, but he's also finished 8th on very soft and 11th on good to firm. And you're like, well, where do we even go with this? It's just does it just depend on what side of bed he wakes up out of, that kind of thing? It's just a bit mental, really, isn't it? As far as I'm concerned.
Yep, it might be the case, but I do think, he has come back from a long way back at Royal Ascot. I just do think that was a good run. Some decent yardsticks. I know we can pick holes in them, but some decent enough yardsticks. Horizon Door being one of them. French George, you will know. Alflaila, Inspiral was in that race, etc. So, yeah, it's a swing at the price, obviously. Right, well, we're going to be back. That's the ARC boxed off. We're going to be back. The supporting races declare on Friday. There's 5 Group 1s on Saturday, with the 6 being the ARC on Sunday, that is. So, yeah, we're going to be doing a separate video on that. They don't declare until Friday, but Hump's going to be on a plane on Friday. I'm going to be at work, so we're going to be previewing that as well. So make sure you tune into that. But all the ARC covered. Make sure you leave us the comments as to which horse you might be backing for the richest race in Europe. Thank you.